All right, Monarchs, welcome to the third video for lesson 2.5. In videos 1 and 2, we went through all the examples before this and we explained how to round. We were working with decimals, solving equations, working with decimals. We are now on example 2b, so that's where we will start is example 2b. Okay, so as soon as I see this problem, I know that I have distributive property. So I know before I can do anything else, I need to remove that distributive property, right? And the distributive property tells me I need to multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses by everything inside the parentheses. So that's just showing that I'm going to multiply this 2 times this negative 3x, 2 times negative 7, then 4 times 2x, and 4 times 1. Okay, so when I do 2 times negative 3x, I'm going to write it over here so I have more space. 2 times negative 3 would be negative 6. I add my x on, so I have negative 6x. 2 times negative 7 would give me a negative 14, so I have negative 6x minus 14. Bring down my equal sign. 4 times 2x, 4 times 2 is 8. So I do 8 and then add on my x. And then 4 times 1 would be a positive 4. So it will be plus 4. Okay, so now that I remove my distributive property, my next step would be to gather or to same side simplify. We cannot same side simplify. We don't have anything we can combine on the same side of equal signs. So I need to gather all of my x's on one side. Like I said, I don't like working with negatives, so I'm going to try and move this because I know the opposite of a negative is a positive. So in order to get rid of this negative, I can change it to a positive because I'm moving it across and we need to do the opposite, right? So I'm going to do plus 6x plus 6x. Negative 6x plus 6x is 0, so those cancel out. I'm now left with negative 14 equals 8x plus 6x is 14x. Then I'm going to bring down my plus 4, okay? So now I have negative 14 equals 14x plus 4. In order to get my x by itself, I want to move what is not attached to it first. This plus 4 is not attached to it. In order to move that, I need to do the opposite. The opposite would be a minus 4. So I'm going to subtract 4 and subtract 4. Okay. So 4 minus 4 is 0. I'm left with 14x. Bring down my equal sign. Negative 14 minus 4 would be negative 18. Okay. Now this 14 is attached to my x, so I know it's multiplying it. In order to remove that, I need to do the opposite. The opposite of multiplication would be division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 14. And now I have x equals, there's 14 divided by 14 cancels out. And now I want to do negative 18 divided by 14. Okay, I know it's going to be negative because it's a negative divided by a positive. All right, so I get negative 1.2857. Okay, so negative 1.2857, but my instructions say to round to 3 decimal places, right? I need to highlight that. I'm rounding to 3 decimal places. So right now I have 4 decimal places, so I need to round this. So what I'm going to do, underline my number that's in the thousands place. I know it's in the thousands place because it's 3 digits away from the decimal. I'm going to circle the number to the right of that. The number to the right is a 7, which is greater than 5. So I need to add 1 to my thousands place and drop the rest. So this is really negative 1.28. Instead of 5, I'm going to add 1 to that, which is 6. And then I'm going to drop the rest. Okay? And that is my final answer for that problem. Let's look at example 2C. We have just quite a few decimals. We will solve all of these just like we normally would. We're just working with decimals now, okay? So if you want to use a calculator, if that makes you feel more comfortable, then please go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to think about is, do I have distributive property? And I don't have any parentheses, so I know I do not have distributive property. So now I want to gather all of my x's on one side. So this is a negative 3.1x right here. So I want to not work with the negative. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3.1x. And that's because in order to move it across the equal sign, I need to do the opposite. And the opposite of a minus 3.1x would be a plus 3.1x. Okay, so these are going to cancel out. Now I'm left with 2.4 equals 9.7 plus 3.1 would give me 12.8 x minus 12.7. Okay. Now I need to move that minus 12.7 because it is not attached to my x. All right, but I will do that in the next video. Okay, so stay tuned for video 4 of lesson